Hey guys, and welcome to The Therapy Couch, aka TCP, the podcast where real life meets real emotions. Join me here each week where I'll be discussing topics to help you remember who the fuck you are and how to live your best life by being authentically you. We'll dive into the realm of the human experience, exploring the things that matter most. Feelings, trauma, self-discovery, relationships, and all the other complexities that come with surviving the journey of life. I'm your host, Josie Dickerson, and I'm here to create a safe and supportive space where listeners can connect, reflect, and grow. Let's get into it. Hey you guys, welcome back to the 5th week of the Awakening Authenticity mini-series. I hope you guys have enjoyed all the topics thus far. This week we are going to be talking about gratitude and getting out of like the victim mindset. So I'm gonna give you like a little story of something that happened to me this week where I was like in a situation where I was like kind of annoyed, but then it like everything like worked out in my favor. And I was like so grateful for like the universe just like having my back. So earlier this week, on Thursday, I had a hair appointment and I had stayed out of town and I had to drive in the morning. My appointment was at 9:15 and I had to drive in the morning like an hour and a half back. And I ended up like leaving a few minutes late, and then I get on the road and there was just like a shitload of traffic, and it added like 15 minutes to my time. So instead of an hour and a half, I had an hour and 45-minute drive. And so I like get on the road and I'm okay. I'm like, it's fine. Everything will be fine. Like everything's always like working out. But I was like low-key kind of annoyed. I was like, oh my God, Jesus. Like my salon has a cancellation policy that if you're more than 15 minutes late to your appointment, then they'll cancel and make you reschedule. And so I was like, this is not good. My appointment was at 9:15 and my ETA was like 9:45. I was like, oh fuck, like this sucks. And so, excuse me. And so I'm like, I get on the road. Finally, I get through town and I'm like on the highway and I am hauling ass. Like, I'm like, I have got to make this appointment. Like, if you're a girl listening, like, you know that hair appointment where you're like, you've gone a little bit too long and you're just like, I fucking need this. Like, I need the reset. I need to refresh. Like, I'm like ready to be a new bitch again. And so I just like, I needed this appointment. That's like what I was like feeling. And so I was like, I cannot be late to this. And so I get on the highway and I am flying like I'm doing 100 miles an hour in a 70, like hauling ass. And so I get about like halfway back and I see two cops sitting on the side of the highway and I'm like, fuck. I did not have enough time to like slow down to an acceptable speed. So I just like tap my brakes a little bit, still rolling like 95. And I just like, they didn't even bat an eye, like no little whoop whoop in the rear view, nothing. And I was like, thank you, God. I used to have a friend that would always tell me like, Josie, you have a fucking golden horseshoe, like shoved so far up your ass. It's not even funny. Like you are the luckiest bitch alive. And I'm like, I really am. But I also like just have that mindset of like, everything's always working out for me. Like everything's fine. Like I'm good. I'm golden. I am like blessed and highly favored. And if you're like, you're a conceited bitch or you're a cocky bitch, and I'm like, I'm not, but like I really have like developed the mindset that like everything's always working out for me. And so it just does. And so whatever, I like fly past these cops, they don't even move, and I'm like, oh, thank you, God, like I don't have time to be pulled over today. I have got to go. So I get to the salon and literally like I was 14 minutes late, and I'm not somebody who is typically late. Like if I have to meet somebody or if I have to like, you know, somebody else is involved, like I respect their time enough to like not show up late. And so I was just like disappointed in myself. I was like, damn girl, like you're never late. So I get to the salon, I check in or whatever. One of my friends calls me and I'm like, shooting the shit with him, and I'm like, hey, yeah, like I'm at the salon, like about to get my hair done, blah, 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 blah. And the receptionist is like, hey, like I'm trying to get a hold of your girl. And I was like, oh, okay, like that sounds fine. Like that's cool, whatever, like I'm chilling. And so another 10 minutes goes by and I'm like still on the phone, and she was like, hey, sweetie, she was like, I finally got a hold of her. Apparently she was sick last night, and she like overslept this morning. Like she's going to get a hold of you. And I was like, as in I need to reschedule my appointment? And I probably sounded like a royal bitch when I said that. And she was like, yeah. And I was like, okay, like that's fine. No worries. Like, thank you for letting me know. Blah, 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 whatever. And my friend goes, look at you being so nice when I know like you're fucking pissed. Like you're hot, bro. And I was like, I'm not really pissed. I'm just like kind of like annoyed. I was like, ugh, like that sucks. But like not kind of annoyed because like the girl, I don't know, if you're sick the night before, like text me, girl, you have my number. But also too, like I was just more annoyed because I was like so looking forward to the appointment and just like getting my hair done. And so I was like, damn, like now I have to wait, like, you know, just like kind of pouting it. But I was like, all right, whatever, like not a big deal. So I come home, like let the dogs out, sat down on the couch, and like within like 45 minutes of me like being home from like my appointment getting canceled, my tax lady texts me, hey, there was an issue with your taxes. They got kicked back, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like, okay. And so she ends up calling me, and she's like, hey, girl, I'm going to have to like email you a PDF, and you're going to have to print it out and sign it and then go mail it. And I was like, okay, like no worries. Like, you know, I'm off today. Not a big deal. Like I'll take care of it and I'll let you know when it's done. But so I got off the phone with her, and I was like, thank fucking God. Like, thank you, Jesus. Thank you, universe. Thank you, all of like whoever is looking out for me. Thank you, God, for not letting me be in a salon chair and get that phone call or get that text message saying that now I have like another thing to do. So after my hair appointment, I was supposed to take my dog to the vet, and I was like, if I would have been stuck in that salon chair when she called, I would have had so much anxiety about the fact that like I need to not be sitting here right now. Like I have shit that I need to take care of. And so I like call my other friend, and I'm like, bitch, listen to this shit. Like, you know how I'm always saying like the universe is like working out for me, and like it's like things are always happening for me, not to me. And she was like, yeah. I was like, you know how I told you my appointment got canceled? She was like, yeah. I go, well, now this is the shit that I have to go like take care of. And she was like, oh my God, that's fucking nuts. And I was like, yeah, dude, tell me about it. But so then I like get off the phone, and I'm like, I had the best day. Like, granted, right? Like my appointment got canceled, so now I'm not going to feel like extra cute, and like my hair's going to be done, right? And then like shit is going on with my taxes, and like now I have to deal with all that shit, and now I have to like run around and like, and I still have to take the dog to the vet. And like in that moment, I could have been so like just pissed off and annoyed and irritated. But because like I am not stuck in a victim mindset anymore, where it's like, you know, something goes wrong and I'm like, oh, like God hates me. Like the universe hates me. Like, why is this shit always happening to me? Like, and it's so funny because I used to be that person. And I like in that moment had such like a moment of clarity of like, wow, like if you've been like on a healing journey or like, you know, like try to heal trauma or like just like a self-improvement journey, it's like such a cool moment when you can look back or like I think the coolest thing was like I was literally in the moment and felt like that. I was like thank you, God. Like I was so grateful that my appointment got canceled. Like, yeah, I was annoyed, but then like, yeah, I was like, yeah, whatever, you know, like shit happens. And lo and behold, it's because I had other things to take care of that I needed to do. And so it was just so cool to like be actually in the moment, because I feel like a lot of times it's like, you know, you're going through shit and you're like, why the fuck is this happening to me? Like, what is really going on? And it's not until the moment is done and then you can look back and say, oh, that's why that happened. Or like, that was the lesson that I was supposed to learn in that situation. So it was such a cool moment to like actually be in be in a time and space with like shit going on where I could be like, dude, the universe really is always working out for me. Like, shit is always happening for me. And like, I'm just so grateful for that. So on the topic of like being in a victim mindset and like kind of shifting your perspective, like when you really like take accountability, one, for like your own shit, right? Like, and stop blame. It's so easy to blame other people for like being in a bad mood, or like, if you wouldn't have done this, then this wouldn't have happened, and blah, 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 blah. And it's so easy to play the blame game. And it's like what everybody does. And it just I just feel like that just like makes life so much fucking worse when you're just like, oh, like all this shit is happening to me, and like poor me. I don't know. You know, the victim mindset, like, you know what I'm fucking talking about. And so it's like, and like no shade, but no shade, because like I've definitely been that person where like shit was just hitting the fan, and I was like, why is this happening? Like, what the fuck? Why? And I've said it in previous episodes, like I have been that girl where I was like very much in a victim mindset and like felt like the universe, God, whatever, was like out to get me, or like I had like accrued all this like bad karma, and like that's why like shit was going wrong. But now, like looking back, I'm like, okay, like they were lessons to be learned. Like those moments were supposed to happen. And like it's just so cool to like look at it from a perspective where it's like, okay, instead of being like, oh, this shit is happening to me, it's more like you look at it in the sense of, okay, what's the lesson that I'm supposed to be learning here? Or like, you know, how is this benefiting me? Even when it's like a situation that irritates you or pisses you off, or it's like inconvenient, like it's really, if you can shift your perspective and say, okay, like how is this working out in my favor? Or like, you know, what is this trying to teach me? Like it doesn't really matter what the situation is, but it's like, if you feel like it should be a negative situation and you have negative feelings about it, it's fine. Like, it's totally fine. That's normal to be like annoyed that your appointment got canceled, or annoyed that, you know, somebody didn't show up, or whatever it is. That's totally normal. But it's like, don't get stuck in that feeling. So also on that note, like feelings are temporary. Like it only becomes I want to say like a reality when you stay in that feeling. Like when you hold on to the feeling and you like make it a part of your identity, it's no longer a feeling, it's a part of you. So like if you're angry, okay, like I feel angry. You aren't angry, but you feel angry. But if you hold on to that anger, then you are angry. I hope that made sense. That was a little confusing. But it's like, it's totally normal to feel things, even if like negative things. And like I said in past episodes, like I'm not going to be, you know, the personal development person that's like, oh, only think happy thoughts. And if you think a bad thought, then like your whole like world is going to go to shit. Like that's not true. Like if you hold on to it, yeah, okay, sure. Then like that's the reality that you're creating for yourself. But if you feel it and then like let it go, that's totally fine. Like that's what you should be doing. And so, it was just a cool, like I said, it was just like a cool moment to be like, damn, I'm like living in a situation, but I have worked on my mindset so much and worked on my perspective of like, you know, the universe really is like working out for me, or like everything happens for a reason. I've worked on that for so long that it was just a really like full circle, just cool ass moment to literally be in the middle of some shit and be like, damn, okay, like this is really working out for me. Like, but yeah, again, that's like, you know, I'm not stuck in a victim mindset where I think that like the world is out to get me. Like I said, I'm not that special. You're not that special. That like God is singling you out and like trying to ruin your life. He would never do that, first of all. The universe would never do that. And so it was just a really cool moment. But on the topic of like gratitude, you know, I was so thankful in that moment. And say I was, and granted, like, you know, like I woke up in a good mood, but sometimes, you know, you just wake up and you're like, I'm in a funk. Like, what the fuck is going on? And like stuff throughout the day just like pisses you off and you're like, I don't know, you just like hang on to it. And so on those days, one of the techniques that I do, I would say pretty much on a daily basis, there are some times where I'm like, yeah, I'm good today. Like, I more just like say it in my mind or like I think about it instead of like writing it out. But especially on those days where like I've had a shitty day or I've been in a like a funky ass mood where I've just been like everything was annoying me and you know, you just wake up on the wrong side of the bed. Especially on those days, I will gratitude journal. So I will sit down, get out my little journal and my pen and like make myself a cup of hot tea, and I will sit and I will force myself to find something good in that day. And on the gratitude and gratitude journaling topic, like last week when I said like, you know, talked about mindfulness, when you start to get in that habit of like, okay, like I had a bad day, or like you're, you know, you're in a dark spot, or like you're just going through a really rough time, when you take the time to pick out the good shit, even if it was one thing, like I think last week I talked about, you know, being able to just sit and enjoy my coffee in the morning without having to like, you know, throw it in a to-go cup and like fucking rush out the door. Like I enjoy it. Like one of my favorite things is to like wake up in the morning, make a cup of coffee and go sit on my front porch and just like fucking take in the world. You know what I mean? And just like be with my thoughts and like think about my day or just, you know, whatever, just like take the morning slow. So that's like one of my favorite things. So even if it's something small like that, or, you know, like, I was in a pissy mood and somebody still complimented me, like, complimented my outfit, or, you know, like, somebody noticed that I was in a bad mood, like, and sometimes that's like like, I don't want to say embarrassing, but like, you know, and at least me, like what I do when I'm in a bad mood, I like let my friends know, or like people that I'm like interacting with that I like have some kind of like relationship established with them. I will be like, dude, I'm in a badass mood today. Like, I'm just not in a mood. Like, I'm not in the mood to like laugh and joke around. Like, I'm just in a funk today, and I'll let them know. But like for somebody, like say a stranger or like somebody that you don't interact with on a daily basis, like comes up to you and they're like, hey, like, are you okay today? Like, that is so nice, because again, I've said 1,000 times, like, we're all in our own fucking world. We all have our own shit going on. So it's like for somebody to take, you know, what, like 2 seconds out of their day to notice, like, hey, I noticed that, like, you seem a little off today. Like, are you good? Like, that's so nice of somebody. And I think that we, like, people don't stop and appreciate that, but it's like we really do all have our own stuff going on. So for somebody to, especially somebody that you don't interact with on a daily basis, to stop you and be like, hey, like, are you good? Like, I noticed you, like, you're not smiling as much today, or like, you know, you look tired, or like you look stressed out, like, where it's so easy, again, in the victim mindset, or like to have like a negative perspective on things, like on life in general. Like somebody might be like, hey, like, you look stressed out today. And you could very easily be like, oh, well, thanks for fucking noticing. Like, yeah, I am stressed out. Or you could be like, hey man, like, thanks for noticing that. Like, I appreciate you like taking the time out to like check on me, you know? So it's like everything in life is really all about your perspective, and like having a positive mindset is not being happy-go-lucky all the fucking time and being like, oh, let me just put on my happy face and like go out into the world and pretend that everything's okay, while deep down like I'm fucking dying, like, or like I really just want to go tell this person to fuck off, but I'm just gonna smile and like pretend like everything's okay. And I've definitely been that person, because I never wanted to put, now that you guys know like a little bit of my back story, like I was always the person that like I didn't want to put my shit onto somebody else. And I'm still very much that way, but like now I have, like, if I feel called to talk to somebody, or like I feel like I'm driving myself insane, like thinking the same thing over and over again, like I will reach out, because you're never a burden. Like, for the people who love and care about you, like, you are never a burden. Like, they want to be there for you, right? Like, I know that, like, I want to be there for my friends. Like, again, if you're in the mindset where, like, every time we fucking talk, you're bitching and complaining about some shit, I don't have time for that. But if you are like, hey, like, I legit have this problem and I'm, like, trying to, like, I've been thinking about it for a couple of days, or, you know, like, I've been thinking about it all day and I just, like, I can't come up with a solution, or, like, I think I need some advice or, like, a different perspective on the situation, I'm your girl. I got you. But I don't have time, and call me whatever you want, I don't have time to babysit a grown-ass adult. Like, if you're coming to me and you're complaining about the same thing over and over and over again, and you're not willing to make a fucking change, I don't have time for you. Shade, no shade, I'm a bitch, whatever, it is what it is. But that's how I feel. And because there's so much, like, being in the victim mindset and being like that, oh, the world is out to get me. Oh, the fucking universe hates me. Like, why is all this shit always happening to me? Ugh, life is the worst. Like, fuck this. I hate this. Like, life is such a blessing. Life is such a fucking blessing. Like, the fact that we get to wake up and, like, just be. Like, yeah, I get it. Trust me. Like, I have my fair share of days where I'm like, work fucking sucks. I don't want to go there. I love my kid to death. My kid is not listening today. She's getting on my last nerve. Like, why can't you just listen? Like, we have a million things to do. Like, I'm not saying that, like, life is always perfect, and life will never always be perfect. I think that we're sold this thing that, like, if you're not happy all the time, or, like, happy-go-lucky and, like, shit is always just, like, working out, or, like, then, like, your life is fucking terrible and something's wrong with you, like, God forbid you have a fucking bad day. Like, you are human. That is part of this experience, and that is so beautiful that, like, that again, like, my situation this past week, like, that was so, like, such a beautiful situation that I was like, thank God. Like, I am so glad that everything worked out exactly how it was supposed to. Like, and I feel like I could go on and on and on about, you know, being grateful for little things. And sometimes when I was younger, my mom would be, you know, I would, like, complain about something, or, like, I'd want something and I wouldn't be able to get it. And so, like, I'd pout or whatever. I was a little fucking kid. We all did that, right? But my mom used to always say, like, Josie, it could always be worse, right? And again, from, like, the victim mindset perspective, or the victim perspective, is like, if you're complaining about something, or if you have an issue and somebody says, well, it could always be worse, it almost seems like they're invalidating your feelings. But also, on the flip side of that, it's like, oh shit, like, things could be worse, right? Like, if you think about it, I am so blessed. Like, my legs work, my arms work. I don't have any physical ailments. Like, yeah, you know, sometimes my bones be hurting, but that's life. But, like, I can still get up in the morning. I can still walk. I can still see. I can still smell things. I can still taste things. I have food on the table. Like, I have money to pay my bills. And, you know, my kid gets to eat. And, like, there's just so many things in life to be grateful for. Like, I don't live in a war zone. I'm not in an abusive relationship. Like, I don't know. It's like, there's just so many, and I've never lived in a war zone, but, like, I've definitely been in an abusive relationship, like, mentally abusive, when I was younger. So it's like, I understand that perspective of, like, being in the situation, but it's like, you have to take radical responsibility for yourself and stop blaming everybody else for your problems. Like, and I get that we, like, interact with people and shit happens and it triggers us, and, like, situations are bad. I'm not negating any situation that anybody may be going through, but it's like there has to be, like, bottom line, there has to be one thing a day good that happens to you. You just have to find it. Because if all you're doing is saying, oh, woe is me, like everything always happens to me, like all this bad shit always happens to me, and the world is out to get me, and I have such bad karma, and I don't know what I did to deserve it, and blah, 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 blah. Like, if you are constantly focusing on the bad, all you're gonna notice is the bad. But when you start focusing on the good, even if it's one tiny fucking thing, like something as silly as like, I found a penny on the ground today. Like, I don't know how many of you, like when you were kids, like thought about like, you would see like a penny on the ground and you'd be like, oh, that's good luck, right? Like, and tell yourself a story. And then it's like, you'd feel lucky the rest of the day. Like, like your parents would like take you to the candy store, or like you'd get to like get a new toy, or, you'd get some extra video game time or TV time, or like extra time playing with your friends, or your mom like made you a special dessert, or it's like you would just feel so lucky because that's what your brain, like that's what you told your brain. Oh man, I found this fucking penny and now I'm like the luckiest kid ever. Like, I still do that shit. I literally found a penny the other day and I was like, oh my God, I'm fucking so lucky. And it was on heads. Okay. So that's like extra luck. But, it really is about like what you focus on is what you create. So like if you are focusing on your problems, guess what? More problems are going to come to you. And if you are focusing more on like positive things that are happening to you, or like if you come into a situation where it is a negative thing, like, or it seems like a negative thing, like start looking at it like, okay, like this is the problem. What are the solutions? Like everything is fixable and everything is figure outable. Like how many times have you heard that on TikTok? I've heard it 1,000 times. Like everything is figure outable. Wow. Why is that word so hard? Probably because it's not even really real. But, every situation, like you are able to figure it out. It doesn't matter what it is, but it's like, it really is your mindset. And one of the biggest things that I can tell you to do is start writing down the things that you're grateful for. Even if it's you got to enjoy your morning coffee, or it's I got to eat breakfast today. I don't know how many of you are like this, but half the time I'm fucking rushing out the door and I get like, a granola bar or something that I don't really want, but it does the job, So it's like, oh man, like I got to eat breakfast today. Or even the fact, like, even if it's a fucking granola bar, like you had food today. You didn't have to worry about that. You had that. Like that's something to be thankful for. And it's so easy to be like, oh yeah, people in other countries, like, they struggle to find food, or like they struggle to have food available to them. And it's like, it doesn't even have to be another fucking country. Like it happens in your own country, wherever you are listening to this, like that happens to people. And like, you didn't have to worry about that today. And if you did have to worry about that today, like I pray that like somebody was nice and helped you out, even if it was like a handful of change. And, which kind of reminds me of another very interesting interaction that I had not too long ago, where it was like I could help I helped somebody out, but they also very much helped me in like not a monetary way, but like I kind of feel like on a spiritual in a spiritual way, also like in an emotional way. I'm not going to go into the details because I'm just like not that person, but I definitely had an interaction where I was like, damn, like, and the thing is like, he probably didn't realize that he was helping me, but he did, and like, I don't know, you just gotta be thankful for what you have. And if your situation is like, shitty and you don't know how, that is my biggest suggestion to you is like, find it. Like, obviously, if you're listening to this podcast, like, you are somebody who wants to be better. And again, like, not that you're a shitty person now, but it's like you want your life to be better. You want improvement in your life, whether it's, you personally or just like your circumstances. Start paying attention to the little things and be thankful for them and be grateful. And I promise you, your whole life will change. Like and again, like, I'm a scientist, so like on a science level, like, your brain can only process things or like prove things that it knows to be true. So if you, again, are constantly in a place where you are searching for the negative or like thinking about the negative, and it's become a part of your identity, that's all your brain knows. So like, it's going to feel weird to be like, oh, like, what am I grateful for today? Like, especially if you're just starting to like get out of that victim mindset or like really starting to like gratitude journal or anything like that. It's going to feel a little weird. You're going to be like, oh yeah, I'm thankful for my coffee. Like, okay, great. Like it seems so like trivial, but it is like, it is so important to appreciate the small moments and again, like micro moments in life where it's so easy to get caught up in your external environment that you're not checking in with yourself, or you're not taking the time to be mindful and like appreciate little moments that you have with people, or even that you have with yourself. Like, damn, I'm really proud of myself. And like, for a long time, that felt weird to me, to be like, oh, I'm proud of myself, because I was always so hard on myself that I was like, I'm never going to be good enough, or like, this wasn't good enough, or like, yeah, I did it, but it could have been better. Like, when you start to shift, it does feel weird. It does feel weird because you're getting outside of your comfort zone, but embrace that feeling. Embrace the weird, like, I'm trying to describe it. I wish you guys could see my face right now, because it is like your whole body feels weird. You're like, I'm not used to fucking doing this. Like, I don't like this, or I feel silly, or like, this is embarrassing, or like, whatever it is, it's going to feel weird, and that's okay. Keep doing it, because one day it won't feel weird. It'll be your new normal. And then you'll be in a situation where like shit is hitting the fan and you're like, damn, I'm so grateful for this. I'm so thankful that this is happening to me right now. Full circle moment. So I'm just gonna leave you with that. Start gratitude journaling. Again, like, if you've been following the series and like maybe this is the first episode that you're listening to, definitely go back and listen to the other ones, because they are all tied together. And like connect in some way, shape, or form. But to really be grateful, you have to be mindful of what's going on around you and what's going on inside of you. And also be grateful for the ability to make a change. We're all capable of it. Again, it's not easy. I'm going to say that till I'm blue in the face. Like, nothing about changing is easy, but like, change is inevitable. So you can either play the victim and say, oh, like, I don't have any control over anything. Like, life just happens to me, and that is what it is. Or you can wake the fuck up and realize how powerful you are and how much control you actually do have over your environment and what's going on around you. And really start to make those changes and be like, I'm telling you guys, when you get to the other side, it's like, fuck yeah. Like, thank God I don't see the world like that anymore. Like, what a just like annoying perspective. Like, I remember how and I don't mean that in like, if you think like that, like you're annoying. I more mean it in the sense of like, I remember how annoyed at life I would be. Like, every little fucking thing. Like, I was just annoyed. One minor inconvenience and I'd be like, my whole fucking day would be ruined. I'd be like, oh, great. Now I have to fucking deal with this. Like, and I was just so annoyed all the time. And again, I said at the beginning of this episode, like, yeah, I was like annoyed that that girl didn't let me know, or I was like annoyed that I was rushing for no fucking reason, apparently, you know? So it's like, it's okay to have those feelings, but to sit in it and to like literally think that that's all that life is like one big fucking annoyance is like kind of sad, to be honest. Like, it's sad in the sense that like people don't realize how powerful they are and like how much control they actually have over life. And if you don't like something, fucking change it, because you do have the power. You are in control, and life is not out to get you. I promise you that. It is not out to get you. So, with all that being said, that is pretty much the end of this gratitude and victim mindset episode. Start looking for the little moments. Make yourself, I'm all about romanticizing my life. Like, I say that because people expect day-to-day life to be like on a super high, but that's like, you can't maintain that. So like, I'll give you this example. Like, have you ever gone on vacation and like you're like super excited for like to go on vacation, and then you go and like everything's fucking great. You have like the best time, like really, really enjoy yourself. And then like you're on this like super high, like nothing could fuck up your mood. And then you come back home and you're like, ugh, like what the fuck? And then like you're waiting for that next like really high moment. That roller coaster, that up and down, like of like, okay, like now I'm at a really high, like when you come crashing down, if you don't have like a fairly high baseline, like you're going to constantly be living for those moments of those really high highs, and then you're gonna crash. And then you're going to be like, well, my fucking life sucks. And like, I can't, it's like that runaway, like, oh, I can't wait to like get away from life again and get away from work and like, or like have a girls' weekend and like get away from my husband or my whatever, or have a boys' weekend and like get away from my wife because for whatever fucking reason. Like when you raise your baseline of like what your quote unquote low is or what your normal is, those high highs are still like great moments, but you don't come crashing down as hard because you're like, okay, like how I went to Dreamville a couple weeks ago. You know, I was like, you know, you're like at the festival, you're vibing, you're having a good time, live music, like you're with your friends, like you're just vibing, you're having a good time. And then I came back and I was like, I'm not really ready like for reality, you know? But it wasn't such a crash where I was like stuck in a funk for, I mean, obviously like other things that happened where I was like kind of in a funk, like with losing my dog, but, it didn't take me as long to be like, okay, like I'm back in the groove and like life is still good and I'm still having a good time and like I'm happy. And, again, like I said, like life happens, normal things happen. Like you're not going to be happy-go-lucky every day. Like you're going to wake up on the wrong side of the bed. You're going to have moments where like people annoy you and piss you off, and like that's fine. Like feel the feeling and like let it the fuck go. Like just let it go. So yeah, start gratitude journaling, or even just like journaling if you are somebody who can do the gratitude thing where you're like, oh yeah, like I could pick out the moments, but like you still kind of like have that victim mindset. Like write down moments where you feel like you're victimized, I guess we'll say. And then back to the mindfulness thing, or like the little check-in with yourself, be like, damn, like why did that situation like irritate me so much? Like what do I need to do for myself to like shift that situation? So maybe the next time I'm put in a scenario like that, I don't react in such a poor way, or I don't let it affect me so much. I think sometimes I feel like silly journaling because I'm like, what am I, like a little teenage girl? Like, dear diary, this is what happened to me today. And it feels a little silly. Like sometimes it does, because sometimes I'm like, I need to like vent and I just need to write that shit out. And so it is like a dear diary, this person really fucking pissed me off today. And it's like moments like that, but also too, it's so helpful to just get it out. I talked a lot about anxiety the last time, and maybe you don't have anxiety, or maybe you don't realize you have anxiety, or like you just like you're frustrated with the same situation over and over again. Like the first step to solving a problem is like writing it down. Like then you know what I mean? Like you've solved literally half the problem because you've identified it. So if you're in that victim mindset where you're like, oh, like I always feel like the victim, or like I feel like somebody's out to get me, or like the world is against me, start writing down those moments. And then that's like you're solving half the problem right there of like, oh, damn, that's like a moment that I felt like that. And like, here's a moment. And then look at the pattern. Like what is happening? What's going on internally with you? Like, do you need to make an adjustment in your schedule, or like in your daily routine, or whatever it is? Like you have the control to make adjustments as needed in your life. So start doing that. I'm kind of getting to the point where I'm rambling, so I got to cut it off. But gratitude journal, start writing out moments where you feel like you're the victim in a situation. And then also like, ask yourself, like, once you write down like where you feel victimized, like, your perspective, and then also like how you can shift that and like not quote unquote play the victim, right? So I leave you with that, my lovelies. And next week we are going to be talking about who you want to become. So basically, I'm just going to like break down all the things that I like want you to do as far as like identifying like and getting really specific with who you want to be, right? Like we talked about authentic self, like your authentic self. And basically this mini series is, building the foundation. Like when you build a house, like you can't do shit if you don't have a solid foundation, right? So like that's what we're doing. We're building the solid foundation. We're appreciating moments in our life on a daily. We're being mindful of like how we're feeling, how we want to feel, what we need in the moment. When we're in a situation where we feel triggered or whatever, we have our values, and we're like being self-aware. So like we have that solid foundation. So now like once we have all that, we're going to figure out, okay, now that we have this foundation, what kind of house are we going to build? What kind of home are we going to build within ourselves? And I'll break down all of that next week. So go be grateful for the life that you have. It may not be the life that you want at this moment, but it will be when you take accountability and radical responsibility for your choices. Like that is one thing about life, is you can't control anybody else, but you can control yourself. And that is so fucking powerful. So I'm going to check out, and I will see you guys all next week. Okay, love ya. Bye.